for unit commitment. Only 1T. Right, okay. So what does it mean by unit commitment? And what does it mean by economic load dispatch? Why we are why we are going to make the systems to run optimally? What is the purpose? Can anyone? What is the objective of economic load dispatch? Simply, in a single statement, can anyone? Objective of economic load dispatch? Short box, okay, to supply the maximum power
For
right.
fuel also.
In order to reduce the cost, right? Where simply we are maintaining the economical distribution, right? To the actual system load where it is raised to the various units that are already in connection. But what you meant by exactly the unit commitment and what is the difference between economic load dispatch and the unit commitment was simply where economic dispatch should be focused on the distribution of the load in optimum economical basis, whereas unit commitment problem is nothing but the plan of this unit commitment. Why we are come across with this word in the sense we need to choose the best set of the units to be available to supply, right? So which load we can connect at which time period, that should be the important in the case of the unit commitment. So where we need to predict or forecast the load of the system for the future time period. What exactly we are doing in the system, we are maintaining some economical distribution by using this economical load dispatch by taking the losses into considerations, right? We are making the economic load dispatch. But here unit commitment is simply, let us think what is our power system exactly in real time. The total load of the power system is not constant, right? We are very well known that always the load should be going to vary time to time. So we are already studied in our earlier power systems too, right? How the load is getting distributed for commercial loads and industrial loads, domestic loads, right? Peak load time, off peak load time, right? So with respect to time, the total load of the power system is continuously varies. That will be not at all a constant throughout the day. If you take it any time, it should not be a constant, and it always reaches different peak values from time to time in a particular single day. So therefore, if the load is not constant, then it should be very difficult to predict how much load we can have in the next day at that same time, right? Because load is continuously varying. That should be a critical thinking where we need to analyze at which load we need to connect how many generators. So that is nothing but the unit commitment problem, where generally what we can do, it follows particular hourly load cycle over a day. What does it mean by different load availability at different time periods? Due to these different reasons what we are facing in the power system generation side, the most advisable thing was that to run all available units at all the time, right? That is a simple solution. But what is the problem present behind that solution? If all the units are running at all the time, so there should be surely some wastage of the electricity, right? Because sometimes it may be some off peak load time. So during the off peak load time, if all the units are in on condition, right? So therefore it will give the loss. So that means we need to get the more awareness when to connect them to the network, when we should not when we disconnect them from the network. So this identification should be very much important. All right. So simply what does it mean by when we can connect these to the network, or the sequence in which the operating units should be shut down. And again, shut down in the sense for how much time we need to shut down. That is the most important. So how much time we need to turn on, how much time we need to shut down. These are the two cases coming into the picture of the unit commitment. Okay. So for this analysis, we need some computational procedure for making such decisions. That will be entire process will be called as unit commitment problem, right? Understand what does it mean by unit commitment and how it is different from the economic load dispatch. So generally what we are having, all of them are very well know this curve. On x-axis what we are taking as a time. So for 24 hours basis, and on y-axis it should be load in megawatts. So it should be continuously. If you take some 100, 200, 500, 1000 like that, so it should be continuously varies from time to time. And sometimes it may decrease, sometimes it may increase. We should not forecast, right? How much load should we can going to supply at that particular time period. So these discrete levels of the system load will make the system more clumsy, nothing but it should be unpredictable. So in order to avoid that situation, what we are doing earlier, we are switching on all the units at all the time. That means all are getting connected to the network. So that system will be again overcome by introducing the topic of unit commitment, where how many generators should be turned on at how much time. So again to the network, and how much time we need to shut down based on the load requirement, right, during off peak load conditions. That is also shutdown is how much time we need to shut down. So these two cases we need to take some computational procedures to take the decision. Okay, that is nothing but your unit commitment problem. Simply it should be going to determine the units that should operate for a particular load, right? Simply it should be to determine the units that should operate for a particular load. Okay, note down a very important point. Simply in a single statement about the unit commitment was, the problem of unit commitment is to determine the units that should operate for a particular load. So in our electrical terminology, we are simply calling that as a commitment, right? So in order to commit a generating unit is simply to turn it on. Commit in the sense to turn it on. That is to bring it up to the speed, to the synchronized mode to the system, and we need to connect it. So that what should going to happen, it should going to deliver the power to the corresponding network. Once it should be getting committed, nothing but it should be turned on, right? Turned on in the sense we are making the system into the synchronized mode, that should be going to connect with the network, right? Understand about the unit commitment problem and how it is different from the economic load dispatch. Simply economic dispatch is where it's going to distributes the actual system load in an economical basis as it ranges to the various units which are already connected. So already connected in a system nature, we are making some economical probabilities, right? Based on that, we are distributing the system load. That is your economic load dispatch, so that we can reduce the cost by increasing, sorry, by decreasing the fuel production cost, right? Fuel cost. So whereas in unit commitment problem, we are simply planning for the best set of units to be available to supply the predicted load for that particular system over a particular time period. right? Understand which set of units we need to turn on to which extent, and which set of units we need to turn off, right? This changing of switching on and switching off, that should be comes under unit commitment. For that we need to take the proper decision to make it turn on, to make it turn off based on the load prediction. So taking of this decision will involve some computational procedures, having some methods by considering the different constraints. So by considering the different constraints, in the sense already we studied the constraints, thermal constraints, transformer constraints, right? Where the phase angle, everything we seen in the last unit. Here you may also come across with the another word, that is spinning reserve. In unit commitment, you may come across with the another word very important for your competitive exams. Spinning reserve. So what does it mean by spinning reserve? Can anyone, any idea? A reserve in the sense, what does it mean by reserve? What does it mean by reserve? What does it mean by that? Job box minimum units to be generated per day. No, Shiva, it should be spinning reserve. A reserve in the sense that should be some additional capacity we need to have to meet the load requirement. Right? If there is any sudden increase of the load requirements, that means we need to supply that. So for that we need some additional requirements. That additional capacity, very important. All of you note it down. Spinning reserve in the sense the additional capacity of the units in order to meet the load requirements. Additional capacity of units, simply the generating units, nothing but in order to meet the load requirements. Most important for your JNTU short answers also and your GATE competitive exams also. What does it mean by spinning reserve? Which is nothing but the additional capacity of the generating units in order to meet the load requirements of the system. That will be called as your spinning reserve, right? And what is the formula for that spinning reserve? You may get in some of the textbooks like the total capacity of the synchronized units minus the sum of load and losses at a specified time. What does it mean by total capacity of the synchronized units minus, I will write here so that you can understand. Spinning reserve is equals to total capacity of synchronized units. What does it mean by nothing but the total power generated, right? Minus nothing but how many the units should be getting connected to the network. That is this factor. Minus how many losses are presented and how much load is getting supplied over a particular specified time. That is load and losses at a specified time. In competitive exams, they ask like this by giving the different options. One is minus, one is plus, changing the parameters. Spinning reserve is simply the total capacity of the synchronized units. What does it mean by total capacity of synchronized units? In the sense, how many units which are connected to the network, the total capacity of that units minus how much load it should be getting supplied and how many losses are going to presented in that particular specified time up to when these are turned on, right? So if you neglect these terms, if there is any value presented, that is your additional capacity. If value is 0, If it is an equilibrium condition, then the value should becomes 0, because how much we are generated, how much load supplied, and how much loss component presented, that should be, if you make it subtracted from the total generation, then it will be becomes 0, general case. If there is any value is presented, that is the additional capacity of the units in order to meet the requirement of the load. That parameter is called spinning reserve. Understood? Spinning reserve very, very important for short answers. All right, and about the constraints, already we seen the different constraints for active power, and nothing but for generator constraints, in the sense simply we can take the active and reactive power P minimum less than or equal to P less than or equal to P max. In last unit we seen at the end of the unit, Q minimum less than or equal to Q less than or equal to Q max. Right, these are the different constraints. And what are the another constraints? The voltage constraints, Vn minimum, and the load angle delta, right? So like this we are having the different constraints. And if you consider the transformer, there is a phase angle, right? Phase shift theta minimum less than or equal to theta less than or equal to theta max. And we need to consider the tap settings, 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 1 if it is a case of auto transformer, right? Everything we've seen already in third unit. The constraints, generator constraints, voltage. So all these constraints are coming into the picture when once we are going for the computational procedures of the unit commitment problem. All right, understand? So what are the major advantages of taking this unit commitment problem? The first thing is it helps to minimize the cost of generation, right? That is the most important one. One second, right? I will take new slide. What are the advantages of studying this unit commitment problem? The first thing is we can reduce or minimize the cost of generation. Furthermore, comparative or economical dispatch. And what is the another advantage? Any guess? Generally, we are having the different method like finite element analysis, right, and charge simulation methods. You may come across with that in high voltage mode. So out of all these are having some complexity in nature in order to do, wherein the unit commitment should be having very less time for the calculations compared to the other methods what we are having in the power system. That is another greater advantage. It requires less time for calculations, right? And simply the third one is flexible. And what we are having is some dynamic program will be there in our unit commitment problem, so where we can solve it very easily, because it should be having less time, in the sense the solution, that is solving the equations, should be easy and flexible. Right, understand the advantages of the unit commitment problem. And what are the different constraints we are having? That is a generator constraints, voltage constraints, transmission line constraints, transformer constraints with respect to its tap changing, and about the spinning reserve, right? So in next class we will go for the what are the different computational methods we are having directly, and then we will finish it out. Total we are having around 2 to 3 in your syllabus. I think 3 methods are there, dynamic programming methods. So we will do that by doing parallel numericals. Generally simple, the combinations we need to consider here, which unit should be getting connected, which unit should be getting disconnected from the network, like your STLD. If you take the 3 units, let us see here. If you take 3 units as some A, B, C, then your units, how many units you need to connect? What are the combinations we can consider for this in your STLD? Combinations will be taken how it should be in binary 0 0 1, right? And next one, what is the next one? 0 1
0
0,
0
right? And the third one 0
1 1
1 1, and fourth one 1 0 0. What is the fifth one? Another probability.
1 0 1
Very good. 1 0 1. Next one.
1 1 0.
Right. The last one should be 1 1 1. No need to by heart about these probabilities also. Simply you need to follow for this as a 4 to 1. Right. So if it is 0 0 1, that means first is 1. The second one is 0 1 0, that is 2. Third is 0 1 1. And fourth means your fourth value should be on, remaining zeros. Fifth means 1 0 1, and sixth means 1 1 0. 7 means triple one, right? The same here also we can apply. Here what is meant by 1 and 0? 0 means turn off.
On and off.
Right, very good. It should be simply on and off. And what is the equations, the number of combinations, how we can take here 2 power n minus 1, right? I think these all are you studied in your STLD, nothing but your, I think, DLD or STLD. If n equal to 3, like this, we may get the some 7 combinations, right? For each interval, how much total load of the plant should be changes throughout the day, we need to go for the computations. Correct. Here total the electrical utility has to decide in advance, nothing but we need to predict. These all are the predictions, which unit to start up and which unit to shut down, nothing but which unit should be going to start up and when to connect. The time period also very much important, and which should be going to shut down at which time period, right? Switch off and switch on at how long of the time. So the best of the solution what we need to make use of this dynamic programming technique is simply your unit commitment problem solution. Okay, understand the unit commitment problem and the different constraints and the spinning reserve concept, and how the combinations will be taken into the consideration for n equal to 3 if you consider, right? So in next class we will go for the complete computational procedure. It will take so complete 1 hour. Okay, so having any doubts up to now regarding your fourth unit commitment problem and how it should be getting different from the economic load dispatch, that is our third unit. In third unit what we did, some cost functions and everything we did it, coordinate equations including losses, without losses, right? And loss coefficients, and that should be getting extended with this concept of unit commitment. Having any doubts more up to now? Done? Everyone understood the concept of unit commitment? Right. Okay, Masrisha. Right. Nikita. Okay, fine.